Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely flip the script on what it really means to survive modern life. We're drawing from some absolutely profound conversations among the world's top thinkers to ask a pretty vital question. Have we accidentally accepted a definition of survival that's just way too small? Let's find out.
So let's just dive right in. Think about it for a second. When did you stop asking, how can I really live? And start asking, how can I just get through today? We toss the word survival around all the time. Someone asks how you're doing, and you automatically say, oh, I'm surviving. And what you really mean is you're making it through another exhausting week of endless notifications, paying the bills, and just barely keeping your head above water. But think about how draining that baseline actually is. What if survival was never supposed to mean barely hanging on? What if it originally pointed towards something much larger, a life lived fully, courageously, and with actual purpose? Section 1. The trap of survival. Presence versus performance.
See, we're kicking things off by dismantling this huge modern trap. We get stuck living on autopilot, endlessly postponing our happiness for a future that honestly never really arrives. It's the myth that happiness is just a reward you earn after you're successful. You know the drill. I'll finally relax when I retire, or I'll be happy when I get that promotion. But the reality? Joy is a biological necessity that we absolutely have to cultivate today. If you tie your worth entirely to endless achievement, you're taking a life of total abundance and turning it into a life of mere endurance. Author Neil Pasricha hit the nail on the head when he said, "We exchanged presence for performance." Think about that. We've literally traded actually experiencing our Tuesday afternoons for just performing well enough to limp across the finish line on Friday. We scroll through all these highly edited, extraordinary moments online, compare them to our incredibly ordinary Tuesday, and, well, Tuesday loses. But those ordinary moments, savoring a great cup of coffee or watching a kid wave from a school bus, that is the whole shebang. A kid doesn't laugh because they're successful. They laugh because they are fully 100% present. Section 2. Joy is not a luxury, the environment of happiness. This leads us right into our next big cultural myth, the idea that joy is some kind of passive, selfish luxury reserved only for people who have it easy. Arthur C. Brooks makes a really fascinating distinction here between pleasure and joy. Pleasure? Well, it's a lot like buying a brand new car. It's super exciting for a minute, you can literally buy it, but that feeling fades pretty fast. Joy, however, as researcher Kelly McGonigal highlights, is completely different. It's an experience of deep connection. It's shared, it's active, and it's created together. It's helping a neighbor carry groceries or laughing until your ribs hurt with an old friend. It is absolutely not a passive state. And this is exactly why so many highly successful people still feel completely empty inside. Brooks breaks true happiness down into three pretty equal parts: enjoyment at 33%, satisfaction at 33%, and meaning at 34%. It's like a giant puzzle. You can go on an incredibly expensive vacation and absolutely max out your enjoyment, but if you're missing deep meaning and real satisfaction in your daily routine, you're still going to feel a massive void. Joy isn't just constant excitement, it's the deep sense that your life truly fits together. Dan Buettner found this exact same thing in the blue zones, those regions of the world where people live the longest. He noted, modern society tries to manufacture joy. Healthy cultures quietly grow it. The happiest people out there aren't chasing joy like it's some big event. They're cultivating it as an environment through their everyday rhythms. In places like Okinawa or Sardinia, they aren't obsessed with optimizing every single minute. They're stopping for a long cup of tea with a neighbor or taking a slow walk to a shared community meal. They weave purpose right into their ordinary Tuesday mornings. Section 3. The truth about hardship, beyond the messy middle. Now, we absolutely need to tackle a pretty dangerous narrative out there, the total romanticization of suffering. The myth that pain is just a moral test meant to make you tougher. Author Bruce Feiler talks about this concept of a lifequake, a major disruption that totally shatters your old narrative. He explains that in the messy middle of a lifequake, when you feel like you're completely failing, you aren't actually failing. You're just in a deeply disorienting transition period waiting for a new story to form. People assume life is supposed to be a neat, straight line, but it almost never is. The old life is gone, the new one isn't here yet, and yeah, being stuck in that middle part is terrifying. But we are remarkable storytellers. We can build immense meaning even after everything changes. Have you ever felt deeply pressured to find the silver lining in a terrible situation just to make everyone else comfortable? We really have to stop telling hurting people to blindly look for the blessing. Kelly McGonigal says it perfectly. No one owes the world a transformation story. Sometimes the absolute healthiest response isn't adapting to pain and magically growing from it. Sometimes it's just finally walking away from a really harmful situation. Resilience should never be weaponized as an excuse to make someone tolerate a toxic workplace or an unhealthy relationship.
Section 4. No one flourishes alone. Redefining strength.
This brings us to another huge myth we've got to bust, the idol of the fiercely independent, self-made survivor who literally never needs anyone. Author Daniel Coyle highlights the stark difference between unhealthy and healthy belonging. Unhealthy belonging demands that you hide core parts of yourself. It requires total compliance, relentless performance, and absolute silence about your struggles. But healthy belonging, that actually permits the truth. It allows vulnerability and even encourages healthy disagreement without the terrifying fear that your honesty is going to get you kicked out of the group. You're accepted for exactly who you are. Coyle points out 3 simple, repeated signals that prove you're safe. 1, you belong here. 2, your pain will not make us leave. And 3, your future still matters to us. Real connection doesn't require grand cinematic speeches, folks. It just requires consistently proving to someone that they aren't going to be abandoned, especially when things get tough. It's a quick phone call to check in, or just sitting silently on the couch with someone when they're hurting too much to speak. But here's the catch. To truly flourish and maintain those deep connections, you've got to actively set boundaries. As Greg McKeown says, a deeper life may begin with subtraction. You literally cannot be deeply present for the most important people in your life if you're constantly available to absolutely everyone. Subtracting those shallow obligations and just saying no to an invitation sometimes isn't selfish at all. It's the ultimate act of integrity. It protects your most meaningful relationships from being poisoned by exhaustion. Section 5. Becoming fully alive today. The power of now. All right, let's translate all this rich philosophy into action. How do we actually put this into practice today? Michael Hyatt challenges us to do an honesty audit. Compare the life your daily calendar shows you're living, the endless emails, the constant meetings, chasing status, with the actual eulogy you want people to read at your funeral. Do you want to be remembered for answering emails at midnight or for loving well, using your gifts, and making sure your people knew they mattered? That glaring gap between your calendar and your eulogy, that is exactly where real change starts. Now, when a goal feels that enormous, our brains kind of panic, right? We get paralyzed by the scale of it. So Emily Balcetis gives us the perfect antidote to that hesitation. 1, name your goal. 2, narrow the focus. And 3, take one visible step today. Don't stare at the entire mountain of change and stress out about writing 20 chapters of a novel. Just narrow your focus and write one single paragraph today. Getting highly specific drastically reduces our fear and actually tricks our brain into taking action. Because here is the ultimate reality check. Michael Hyatt reminds us, a meaningful life must be built inside imperfect conditions. You gotta stop waiting for the kids to finally grow up, or for the massive mortgage to be paid off, or for all your emotional pain to just magically vanish. That perfect clearing where life suddenly becomes easy, it's a complete myth. Every meaningful yes has a cost. We have to build our meaningful lives right inside the messy, imperfect conditions we're living in today. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final, provocative thought. What part of your life have you been postponing until later? Are you going to keep coasting on autopilot, or are you ready to rewrite your story and become fully alive today? Because true survival isn't a finish line you cross when everything is perfectly secure. It's something we intentionally practice every single day by choosing deep connection, actual joy, and real presence. What would happen if your later began today? To explore these profound insights further and read the complete perspectives from these brilliant thinkers, for full article, please visit imaginarytalks.com/the true meaning of survival living, not just existing. Thanks for exploring this with us.